Please raise your hand, state your name and your affiliation, and ask your question. I ask you to please take a moment to turn off your cell phones. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of U.S. Joint Task Force 505, Lieutenant General John Wissler.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As was stated, I'm Lieutenant General John Wissler, Commander of Joint Task Force 505. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I'm joined tonight by Ambassador Peter Bodie, the United States Ambassador, by Assistant Secretary of State Nisha Barwal, who is here on a fact-finding mission to see how we can do humanitarian assistance and disaster relief in a more effective way across the entire region, and also with my good partner, Bill Berger, from the OFTA USAID and the leader of the DART team, who is here in Nepal. At this time, I can confirm that we have located the wreckage of the UH-1Y Huey helicopter that's been missing since Tuesday, the 12th of May. Because of the nature of the wreckage, it is unlikely that there are any survivors at this time. Our prayers are with the Marines and the Nepalese soldiers and their families. We all mourn this tragic loss of life. The aircraft was positively identified at approximately 1:50 p.m. today, 8 miles north of Sherakot in the Dolaka region. The wreckage was found at approximately 11,000 feet in extremely dense forest and exceptionally rugged terrain. Our Nepalese partners originally discovered what they thought to be evidence of an aircraft mishap while they were flying patrols in this area in their helicopters. As soon as we were made aware of their first reports, we immediately diverted the U.S. helicopters that were already in the air to the grid coordinates that they had provided to us. At this time, I'm not able to positively identify the cause of the mishap. I'm also unable to positively confirm the identities of any of the remains of the service members, either from the U.S. or from Nepal, that were on board that aircraft. Additionally, due to the extremely difficult terrain at the site of the mishap, below freezing temperatures and violent winds and thunderstorms, I made the decision to cease the recovery efforts for this evening. We cannot afford to put U.S. or Nepalese service members at any further risk. At first light, we will resume the recovery mission. The 6 Marines and 2 Nepalese soldiers on board the aircraft were participating in disaster relief missions following the second devastating earthquake that struck this country. They were determined to go forward with their duties, eager to contribute to our mission and to alleviate suffering and to come to the rescue of those in need. They were courageous. They were selfless individuals dedicated to the international humanitarian aid mission here in Nepal. We are deeply saddened by the discovery of this wreckage, and we will remain dedicated to the recovery effort until every last Marine and Nepalese soldier is brought home. We are and will continue to work closely with the government of Nepal and the Nepalese Armed Forces to identify the remains of all of the service members that were aboard the aircraft, and we will determine the cause of the mishap. We will release further details as they become available. I want to express my gratitude to our international friends, the countries of Nepal and India, who came forward and offered their support during our extensive search efforts since this aircraft went missing. We ask for continued prayers and support during this difficult time. We also ask the public to please respect the families and allow them time as the investigation continues and the next of kin are respectively notified. Lastly, I want to express that the United States military will remain committed to our mission here in Nepal. While we mourn the tragic passing of our service members and of the Nepalese Army, we recognize that the Nepalese people have suffered a loss of thousands of their own citizens. We will continue to stand with Nepal as long as our friends need our help. The sacrifice that these Marines and Nepalese soldiers have made for their respective countries will not be forgotten. Their memories will live on through the lives they touched during this disaster relief operation and in their previous service to their countries. At this time, I'll take your questions.
My name is Sergio Quintana, ABC News. My understanding, and as you say, it is the Nepal Army that made the first spotting. Is there a representative of the Nepal government or the military here that can kind of talk a little bit about what they saw?
There is no one here. Our contact with the Nepalese Army, they are, as we are, engaged in pushing forth this information to the Nepalese people and dealing with the loss to their own service members.
Tommy Wilkes, Reuters. Can you confirm if any bodies have actually been found? The Nepalese Army have said that 6 bodies have been discovered at the site.
We have not been able to positively identify any of the bodies at the scene of the wreckage.
William Angelucci from NBC News. What resources are you bringing to this?
We are bringing both U.S. And Nepalese resources to this at this time. Nepalese Army forces have secured the site, and tomorrow we will use both U.S. and Nepalese aircraft if required to get our pararescue team back up on the site to begin the identification of any remains that we find on the site.
Again, Sergio Quintana, ABC News. Is that airspace restricted, and is there any particular reason why it is restricted? Has the United States actually asked to have that happen?
As far as I know, there's been no restriction placed on that airspace.
William Angelucci, NBC News. What's the protocol of bringing back the damaged aircraft back to Canada, back to here?
Our aviation mishap board will be on deck this evening or early tomorrow morning. They will move to the site, and based on what they determine as the most effective means to identify their responsibilities in conducting the aviation mishap board, we will then proceed to recover wreckage when it is appropriate.
Can you talk a little bit about how this is going to affect the ongoing mission that you guys are actually here for?
It will not affect the ongoing mission other than the fact that we will continue to mourn the loss and observe the sacrifice of the great soldiers from Nepal and our Marines who lost their lives. But we will continue executing relief just as we've done throughout the day today. We will continue to execute relief to get shelter kits to those most affected populations that are inaccessible by other means.
This is Binaj with the Associated Press. Sir, can you confirm that the U.S. Officials have actually reached the site of the crash?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Any of the U.S. Officials has actually reached the site?
Yes, we have had U.S. personnel who reached the site, but due to the severe conditions on the site, they came back to gather additional personnel and additional equipment so that they can execute their responsibilities on the ground beginning tomorrow morning.
Sir, can you tell us about how it was spotted and what stage it is the aircraft is at right now? What do we know about it so far?
What do I know about the condition of the aircraft? It was a very severe crash, and based on what we saw in the condition of the aircraft, we believe that there were no survivors, but we have not been able to confirm that. As I said, we have not positively identified any remains at this time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If there are no more questions, that's it for tonight.
Thank you.